MGF Custom/Reviews.
What's going on, guys? It's Michael MGF, and today we're doing another custom LEGO minifigure showcase video. And today we are taking a little bit of a step back before we take that giant leap forward for Iron Man 3 with 3 customs based on Iron Man 1 and 2. And these are the Iron Man Mark 1 that he built in the cave while he tried to, he escaped, not tried, to escape from the 10 rings. The first suit that he built when he got back, and that is the Iron Man Mark II, and then the Iron Man Mark IV, which you guys remember from Iron Man 2, the first half of Iron Man 2. So yeah, these suits turned out really great, and like I said, it's taken a little bit of a step back, but that is because they are required for my upcoming Iron Man 3 project, which you guys will see in the next 12 or 11 days, depending on whenever I post this video. But yeah, so the Iron Man Mark 1 is definitely different than anything I've done before. I'm very proud of it. I mean, I've made figures like the Mark 4 before, but I mean, then you have the Mark 2, which is also different because it's like completely silver, and I pretty much had to make it look like it was shining quite a bit more than my average Iron Man suit, and it does have a lot more detail than your average Iron Man suit, believe it or not, which I'll go over in just a second. But yeah, so these figures are really cool, and I definitely look forward to how they will make their appearance in the upcoming Iron Man 3 video to celebrate its launch. So without further ado, let's go ahead and move on to the 360s of all 3 of these figures. We're going to start off with the Mark 1, and this is a monstrosity of a figure in terms of detail. So the way I'm going to go over it with you guys is by breaking it down bit by bit. So real quick, here is 1/360 of the entire figure, 100%, because honestly there's so much to this figure. I'm going to have to bust them down as I explain it to you. So beginning with the helmet, you can see that, well, just pretty much beginning with the whole figure real quick, you can see that there is a rust effect on pretty much the entire figure, all over his torso armor, all over the helmet, all over his wrist garments, all over his knees, and pretty much whatever section of this figure that is supposed to represent metal. So definitely think that effect turned out great, and without it, this figure wouldn't look as awesome as it does. So the helmet is actually one of those 1980s or 90s, whenever it came out, one of those classic LEGO astronaut helmets that I pretty much, what I did was, obviously there's a big gap in the middle of those, and I sculpted in clay into that gap, and then pretty much that's essentially how I filled that in to make kind of a rounded helmet. And it's obviously not totally like a rounded helmet, but I mean, you get the picture. And it definitely turned out great. And I mean, honestly, when I started to work on this figure, I didn't know how I was going to make the helmet or the torso armor or the knees or anything else for that matter. I was totally walking into this oblivious, but I'm glad I figured out certain parts that would really do the job and make this figure look awesome. So yeah, the helmet, it's one of those classic helmets that I pretty much painted all the details on. The eyes, I painted on the little gap right, the 3 little gaps right there, which are accurately shaped. And then you have the lining going all around the helmet and right over the top of it as well. And there is a little bit of extra lining right here on the very top. And yeah, the helmet turned out really great, and the eyes are in fact outlined in a gray color, just to give it more emphasis. So there is the helmet. So let's go ahead and remove that. And you can see now that the torso armor is in fact made of a LEGO minifigures hockey vest that I then I glued on the brick forged shoulders, and those definitely add more bulk to the figure. And once again, that's a pretty much a core component to this figure, and without them, this figure wouldn't look as bulky as it needs to. And you can see that the detail on the torso armor is immense. You can see the bolts on the very corners of the shoulders there, the black on the very top of the shoulders, and you can see all the tan on the very top of the torso there, or the torso armor, and you can see that does continue all the way to the very back there, as that tan area is completely outlined in black. And the front of the torso armor is really, there's a lot of detail happening right here with all the different outlinings to represent plating, armor plating, and then you can see all the bolts all over it, and then you can see the arc reactor, which is actually indented in the armor, and pretty much I drilled a hole through the center of the hockey vest to give that effect, and definitely it's a crucial effect, and honestly looks great. And you can see that the blue dots right around the arc reactor area as well, those look great and definitely add more depth to the arc reactor. And then you can see the back, there is a lot of detail going on back here, and something that I really haven't done before is add wiring. And obviously these aren't functioning wires, but I mean, they look really awesome. And obviously his entire Mark 1 suit is just makeshift and just has a lot of different exposed machinery, so the wiring definitely kind of portrays that in the best possible way in Lego form. And the little circular thing right here with all the painted details on it is actually the edge of one of the Brickforge compound bows, I believe. If I'm mistaken, leave a comment below. But I don't remember the name of the bow. But it's pretty much the Crisis bow that you saw on my Crisis 3 Prophet. And you can see the reddish brown up here, and you can see that that does have its own array of bolts on it, and you can see just some silver detail splatter on it, some oil stains, and you can see this bottle here is actually made from is made using the same method as the Assassin's Creed 3 Connor Kenway quiver, which is pretty much by using shipping labels to get the general shape of it, and then using clay from there on out and making it the proper object, I guess. And you can see that the detail underneath the wires, you can see that they are like these little, I don't know what you would call those, but they're kind of like little tan rivets that appear on the very bottom area of the back of the torso armor. So yeah, there is a lot of detail on the torso armor, especially the back, and the front is also quite nice with the indent effect with the arc reactor and just all the accuracy to really make this figure come full circle. So moving on, we're going to go ahead and continue to break the figure down by removing the torso armor, and you can see that the entire figure, in terms of its torso color and its leg color, is dark tan, because he kind of is wearing a jacket, and pretty much his entire the entire suit he's wearing underneath the actual suit is completely in a dark tan color. And you can see the arc reactor is simply just a light blue circle that is outlined in black, which even though it might look simple with the torso armor off, doesn't really matter because it looks great when the torso armor is on, and that is the main purpose either way. And then you can see that there are two little bolts on either side of the torso. Just add more detail to kind of pretty much, you know, you really can't paint any detail on the sides of the figure, like the sides of the torso, so really I tried to cram in a little bit of detail on the edges that are exposed even with the torso armor on. And you can see the van braces, the Brickforge van braces. I'm not going to remove these, they don't really need to be removed. These are really awesome, as they do also have the same exact rust effect as the rest of the figure. And you can see the little yellow flamethrower on the left one is in fact really awesome, as it is the it's actually a Clone Trooper rangefinder that I cut the top of and pretty much trimmed to the given length to fit it onto the van brace, and it is glued on, and it just definitely serves its purpose as being awesome. And you can see there is a little bit of detail right there on the van brace, and that definitely looks great. And you can see even more detail on the back of this arm here. You got even a little bit of, you got a little wire right there as well, which is pretty cool. And then you can see the other arm doesn't have as much detail on the actual arm piece, but the van brace is in fact really awesome, as it does have a little bit of, like, I guess green splatter, green camo. I'm not really sure if it's supposed to be camo, because pretty much everything Tony used to make this suit was completely makeshift, so I don't really know what you consider it. But you can see that it does in fact have all the little controls to activate the missile, which he eventually ended up firing at the 10 Rings leader when saving Tenzin, or at least trying to, before he died. Spoiler alert if you didn't see Iron Man 1. I don't see why you wouldn't have, though. So yeah, we're not going to go ahead and remove the torso. It was really just the armor and helmet that I needed to get out of the way to get to the rest of this detail. But you can see that the detail on the legs is also really awesome, and I really had to portray that kind of level of bulk because the entire Mark I suit is just a really big suit with a lot of bulk. So I really had to focus on what I was going to use for the knees, what I was going to use for the sides of the legs, and I'm really glad with the parts that I selected to use, or I chose to use, and you can see that the knees are in fact Brick Warriors knees, which are in fact modified a little bit. This one isn't. I mean, really they are both modified because I cut the sides of both of them off, so I guess you consider both of them modified, but this one more than this one, as it is in fact sanded down on the top. And this one also, in fact, has a little bit of sculpting work. As you can see, it pops out a little bit more. Usually when you get the Brick Forge, why do I keep saying Brick Forge over Brick Warriors? I mean, it uses Brick Forge parts, so I guess I'm kind of stuck on it. But Brick Warriors, you can see it does in fact have a little bit of sculpting work on the front of the knee, whether it be noticeable or not. It is there, and pretty much to just add that level of accuracy to give justice to the three-dimensional aspects of the suit. And yeah, so you can see there is a little bit of camo on the foot right there, the left foot, and you can see the outlining on the feet as well. It looks fantastic. And these, I can't really tell you what these are because I found a piece of plastic on the floor and I cut two sides of it off, and that resulted in the perfect pieces to add onto the sides of the legs, and I'm really happy with it. And you can see it does in fact have an array of silver striping, 3 stripes to be exact, and that is the same for this one right here. And you can see that there is in fact some detail on the side of the belt right there. You can see it's pretty much black with just some silver lining, and then you can see the front of the belt has pretty much a weathered down sand green section with a little bolt on it, and that looks great and accurate. And then you can see the back of it does also have a sand green area, but that is in fact a piece of a shipping label. Shipping labels seem to really be coming in handy with figures nowadays, but you can see it does look really awesome, and it's pretty much like a little flap that comes down, and there is in fact a little bit of a red triangle there, but on the actual suit that red triangle is not actually complete, so I pretty much tried to portray that by adding extra sand green paint. And you can see there's a little bit of gunmetal camouflage on the back of the leg here, and even more bolts on the, I guess you could say, I mean, it's pretty much the right leg, so right leg. And then, yeah, so other than that and all the detail on this monstrosity of a figure, that is finally it for the Mark I, and I swear that probably made up half of this video, but I mean, it's worth it because this is probably one of my best figures to date, and I am just really happy with it. And there is your MGF Customs and Reviews take on the Iron Man Mark I suit. Now, moving on with the Mark II. Now, I mean, this one, it was just really fun for me to make, because I had just gotten in my Amazing Armory order. He's the guy who makes all the armor that you see my Iron Man minifigures wearing. And pretty much, I got my Amazing Armory order in, and I was really excited because I think, you know, this is the armor that I'm going to be using to make all the figures from now until the release of Iron Man 3, so I pretty much just got working, and within a day's work, there he was, the Mark II, complete in all of his silver shiny glory. And you'll notice that there are some light bluish gray parts, such as right there, but I mean, if I were to paint them silver, the paint would just simply come right off when rotating the arms. But there was a time where I was considering making the entire figure light bluish gray, but then, I mean, that wouldn't exactly look right because the suit is pretty much known for being extremely shiny, so I couldn't leave that out. And as you can see, I definitely think it turned out really awesome. And the main factor about the torso armor would definitely have to be all of the little rivets that you see all over the entire suit. And that does include the wrists, the knees, and a little bit on the upper back. So those were definitely crucial because they're just a little detail that spreads all over the armor that I really wanted to include, and it definitely looks great. And little details like that just really make some of my figures really pop out, and I definitely am fond of that. But you can see that the arc reactor is painted in a light blue like always, and you can see that the entire armor, the entire torso armor is completely outlined. All the three-dimensional aspects of this figure are pretty much completely outlined, excluding the legs and arms. And you'll notice all the detail on the back is pretty, even though it may look like a lot, it is in fact accurate and definitely looks great. I'm not gonna lie, I really wish that big ass stud wasn't there, but I mean, what can you do? This is the best Iron Man torso armor you're gonna find on the Lego Bricklink market, I guess, so can't complain there. But you can see that there is a little bit of detail also right underneath the torso armor right there on the belt and the very bottom edge of the torso. And this figure does in fact use light bluish gray hands, which is definitely the best option. And believe it or not, the face mask is in fact a War Machine face mask that I ended up just going ahead and painting. I painted the bottom of it, and I mean, honestly, it looks fine. I'm definitely happy with it. And then you can see that the entire helmet is completely outlined in black, just like all of my Iron Man minifigures, and it definitely looks great. And all my Iron Man minifigures have this feature, and it's definitely one that shouldn't be left out on any of them, really. And then you can see the detail on the legs is also quite remarkable, as it is accurate and serves its purpose as looking as resembling itself to the Mark I as much as possible, or the Mark II. This is not the Mark I. The Mark I is a lot more intense than this, but yeah, so you can see all the detail on the legs is completely painted on. Pretty much there are only two colors aside from the light blue arc reactor color with this figure, and that is the silver and black. And really all I did was once I got everything painted in silver, it was just painting on all the black details from there on out. And I'm definitely really happy with this figure, and yeah, so he'll look great in the upcoming project, which I'm keeping secret like 343 did with Halo 4. Anyway, okay. Yeah, so moving on with the Mark IV. Recently with Iron Man minifigures I've been making, I've been dealing with a lot of like really different colors than your average traditional Iron Man look. So this one was definitely a pleasure to visit because, like I said, there haven't been a lot of Iron Man minifigures that I've been able to make that look as basic to the standard Iron Man look as this one. I've been dealing with like a lot of patriotic colors, like the white and gray colors, and just a lot of different colors that aren't as basic as this. And this was just really fun to make. So anyway, you'll notice that there aren't a lot of dramatic color changes to this because obviously it is just the standard Iron Man color scheme, and that pretty much means that I didn't have to paint the Amazing Armory torso piece at all. Well, that was totally didn't mean to say that, but I mean I didn't have to paint it a solid color. So pretty much I added all the detail, added all the outlines, filled in all the indents with black, added the gold wherever it was needed. I added pretty much everything accurate that I could, and I definitely think it turned out really fantastic. And the detail on the back also looks really nice, and you can see that the detail on the legs is also pretty cool and, believe it or not, relatively symmetrical. And then you'll see the detail on the side of the leg as well with a little bit of gold there and some nice outlining. Really do love this detail in particular right there. And then a little bit of detail on the back. Not a lot was needed back there though. And then the same detail on the other leg as well. So pretty much both legs are the exact same thing. And obviously they're inverted, they're not the same. But you can see that there is a little bit of detail, in fact, on the very bottom edge of the torso and belt right there, with some more outlining as well. Really the key to the Iron Man minifigures is just outlining, because really there are just so many different three-dimensional aspects to an Iron Man suit that really need that outlining. And that outlining really couldn't be represented more on the helmet in particular. And you can see that just like all my Iron Man minifigures, it is completely outlined. So pretty much as the Iron Man helmet, it pretty much starts here and progressively pops out more and more. And I pretty much outline every little section of the suit, of that helmet, and every little part that I can. And then you'll notice the eyes and arc reactor are painted in a light blue color, just like all of the Iron Man minifigures that I've made, aside from figures like the Mark I, Iron Patriot, War Machine, those. And yeah, then the detail on the arms is relatively simple to that of other figures. I'm really comparing this figure to a lot of other figures, aren't I, today? But anyway, yeah, so you can see that the detail does look pretty nice. Not exactly the most complicated arm design, but it definitely serves its purpose and looks really great, just like the rest of this figure. So there is the Iron Man Mark IV suit that you guys will probably remember most from the scene where he fought Rhodey in his house in Iron Man 2. Yeah, there you go. Hey, don't you think it was a bit unrealistic how you escaped that cave? I mean, you had the Mark I suit, yeah, but I mean, you had huge gaps in pretty much the entire suit that easily could have caught a bullet, and you were being fired upon a good few dozen guys with machine guns, and yet you seemed to come out completely unharmed. So, let's go ahead and turn on the realistic switch. Well, that escalated quickly. So that about wraps it up for this showcase video, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to leave a like below, as every one of these figures is quite a project. And I didn't actually mention it before, but these figures are not for sale unless told otherwise publicly, as these figures, they are quite a project each. I mean, each one takes me at least a day or more of on and off work, and I mean, it's just, I'm only one person with two hands, so I really apologize to those of you who would like to buy these figures, but I go very far out of my way to make them look as awesome as they do appear, and it's not something I can do multiple times per figure, so until I let you guys know otherwise, these figures are not for sale. And once again, I do apologize. But anyway, so these figures, I'm really happy with them, and I definitely think they're going to look great in the Iron Man 3 showcase. Obviously, now that I've already showcased them to you guys, they're not going to be the primary focus of that video, but they will definitely amp it up. And the Mark I, Mark II, I mean, I never really expected myself to take a step back and make these figures from, you know, two of my favorite movies. I never thought I would, but now that I did, I am really happy I did, because having a complete collection is just really awesome. It's kind of like having a trilogy based on the trilogy that you love, I guess. Anyway. Alright guys, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you later. Alright, bye! I was kind of debating with